Welcome to the channel. This is going to be my opinion review of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, Episode 7. So, question is, what is worse, poor writing or a show that is boring? And this episode is kind of both. It's the show's not getting any better. This episode isn't any worse, really, than any of the other episodes. It's kind of on par, but it's boring because it's all talk. It's all background exposition. Nothing to do with Star Trek Starfleet Academy, really, other than some very minor points. But oh god, this I was unfortunately I DVR'd this episode, so I couldn't fast forward through it. So I was forced to watch the entire thing, and yeah, it's another very poor episode. Number 7 of 10, so we're getting close to the end. Mercifully put the end of it. Anyways, this episode 7 is I'll call it spring break episode. Why? Uh, it's basically all the students from the academy. There's a holiday called World Day that's never been mentioned anytime before. It's 4 days long, and everybody's gonna go home. So that's the premise of the show. And then it divides up into its various little storylines for some of the various characters. None of them particularly interesting. A lot of stuff in the episode that doesn't make sense, just from a logical fashion. Um, yeah, it's another dog turd of an episode. But it starts off and you see Caleb, the straight guy in this show. You have to actually say that because pretty well everybody else is not. Um, he's trying to write a letter to communicate with the Betazoid girl that sort of somewhat, even though it didn't make sense, saved his group, but went into a coma after using her sonic powers to blow the heads off the bad guys in the previous episode. Yeah, that happened. Uh, but she went into a coma. She's come out of the coma, but he can't think of the right words, even though he was banging her pretty good at one point. He doesn't know the right words to communicate with her, so he doesn't. Okay, here we go. Adolescents after school hours, writing, storyline, whatever. But they're supposed to hook him up with a family just to host him because he doesn't have a family, and he's not going to do that. He's going to stay in the academy, even though apparently nobody's going to be there. They're going to lock the place down. Makes absolute no sense why they would do that, but they're going to do that. Um, So, anyways, he fights with the Holly Hunter's character, the Commodore, or whatever the hell she's supposed to be. You see her starting off the episode, and she's having a couple of shots to put behind her what has happened, which she should, given that she was probably the least effective captain of a starship there's ever been in Star Trek, other than an episode where they're trying to show somebody's incompetent. It Previous episode, she was totally useless and she's not much more here, but she spends a lot of time screaming at Caleb, trying to get him to go with his host family, but eventually gives up. They spend a lot of time together trying to pack her suitcase. It's good to know that in the 1,000 years from now, they'll still be using plastic suitcases because she's just got junk in there. He makes light of the fact of she's got 3 pair of shoes in there and she never wears them. Again, in this episode, she's wandering around barefoot in her star ship, aka the Academy. Now, why that they did that is beyond me. But anyways, so you see the various people departing. You see the Sam, the hologram girl, who after in the first episode not being able to get shot, energy bolts passed through her, got shot on the previous episode, and now she's glitching every so often. So they're sending her away to a particular place um, to get fixed on some resort. Makes no sense. Just Control Alt Delete. reboot the system and she should be back. I don't know. Maybe she pissed off her makers with her being an asshole the last episode or the previous episode where they was all focused on her and they won't fix her. I don't know. But she zip this magical transporter where you don't have to go to the transporter room. They just transport you from anywhere. She's gone. The girl boss type with the weird eyebrows. She's supposed to meet her father, and she doesn't want to really, but she's going to. She disappears, and the captain disappears. And then we have the guy who went to what took a walk on the outside of the spaceship in the first episode. I can't remember the name. I care so little about the show, I don't even bother remembering the names in most cases. The only reason I know the Klingon's name is because people were calling him Gaiden, and it's Jaden. Anyways, this guy is walking down the hallway and gets abducted, and Jaden sees and he follows him into this little wormhole. So, what? Starfleet Academy has zero security that you can just beam into the academy, grab somebody, and then disappear with no repercussions because nothing happens. Nobody chases it down. I guess they don't know. They're assuming that he was going somewhere. Now, I don't remember where he was going. He might have even been going to the planet where they abducted him to. But Jaden follows him. So his storyline is Jaden picks up a rock. So this non-violent, this guy, he doesn't want to be violent, doesn't want to be a Klingon, picks up a rock and races in to save his buddy. And they're got him all dressed up. They're prepping him for a wedding. So he was betrothed to some chick. Her parents had a health scare, so they demand that uh, the boy show up and follow through with his promise to marry this girl. Can't pick up a phone, can't send an email. You gotta kidnap him. Yep, apparently so. Uh, but Jaden finds out he's safe. He's going to be the best man, which he doesn't want to do because if you remember in his episode number 4, he didn't like talking in front of people. That's how you be a Klingon. You just talk in a really low voice. That's how it works in this show, even though all the other shows the Klingons talk fairly normal. But so then you have to go through this teenage type thing where, well, he doesn't really want to get married because he's kind of interested in Jaden because everybody's gay in the show, but he has to go through with it because of family honor and whatever. And apparently, he's royalty on his world or close to it because Jaden actually asks, "You royalty?" Um, but they go through the whole schmoz, and then at the end he abdicates so they can stay at Starfleet because Jaden makes a speech, surprisingly for somebody who doesn't like to talk, that um, doesn't actually change the guy's mind. It changes his girlfriend's mind, and she tells him to abdicate so he can go back to Starfleet. Okay, whatever. So there's that part. Sorry, there's that part of the episode. And Jaden was supposed to go away with his boyfriend, the guy from the military academy, because he lost his friend in that battle with the furries. I mean, flurries or the furies or whatever the hell they were. The Vulcan guy, and it was tough for him. Okay, but oh Jesus! And they managed to actually sneak in a kiss at the end. So, oh, for F's sake, what a show! What such a piece of woke garbage that everybody's getting rewritten, changed, whatever. Uh, so you don't see any more of Hunter. You don't see any more of Sam the hologram. You don't see any more of the other students other than they're leaving and Tig Navarro's character, the smartass engineer, has to make some kind of quip after as each one of them leaves, especially the one who's leaving for some place in no, Minnesota that she doesn't care for. And this is before, this would have been written way before the ice raid, so it's not anything related to that, just slagging on a particular city. But you see her later on, she's one, like, it's, ends up with Caleb and then the super smart girl who The captain had said that she's going to put her into the track for being a captain, which freaks her out. But it's based on how well she did in the previous episode, and she did this and did that, and it's like I saw that episode, she didn't do shit. Maybe she came up with a suggestion, but nothing that would promote her to the fast tracking into a captaincy. But anyways, she's left behind with Caleb, and they do a whole bunch of childish, goofy, teen-focused stuff like playing is it deadly or not. So they have a bunch of samples in the science lab, and they open them up and stick their hand in. What a fucking stupid plot point or plot piece of writing. If the show was true to life, it would burn their hand off or something like that. But no, there's only one spot where it makes Caleb's ears get big. So they're sticking their hands in various substances that they have no right to be doing because it's like some stupid childish dare thing. It's supposed to be hilarious, and especially when the warp slug that can warp like 4 feet or 10 feet or whatever, which again is ridiculous. But anyways, that's supposed to be haha, laugh, whatever. Tig Navarro's character comes wandering in. I guess they're in science lab. Why she didn't go to a med lab's beyond me. But she's hurt her toe, and you can hear the mix uh, Klingon slash Jemadar woman who just yells at everybody. That's her whole function, yelling at Tig about something. Anyways, they're supposed to be a couple. But Tig's hurt her big toe, so while she's trying to repair that, you can see the slugs, and they do a shot from behind her toe, and you can see the slug and it's dripping slime down. And just before it hits Tig, the girl boss uses a freeze gun to freeze it. Anyways, she talks Caleb into breaking into the uh, bridge, and he can do it. Of course, he can do it. He has. He can. They have even knowing the fact that he is a hacker. They don't do anything to lock the bridge down. Try to maybe prevent him from hacking in, but he does. He knows he's being lied to by her, and all she's really trying to do is do something that makes absolutely no effing sense. She wants to go in and expunge her recommendation letters because they say the only reason that she is so good is because of fear. And it's like, what? Like, why? What the hell is that about? Again, it makes absolute no sense. But they get caught, and they get a slap on the wrist. Breaking into the bridge of a starship, stealing files, lying to everybody. Yeah, that's okay. You go off, girly. Don't worry about it. Caleb, you got to do a bunch of janitorial tasks to make up for it. Holy crap. This is, yeah, again, all these episodes are kind of like vying for the worst possible episode, and this one's one of the top because Caleb and I don't even, again, I care so little about these stupid characters. I don't know what her name is. She's got the weird eyebrow things going, and it's a girl boss, and they spend talking all this stuff, and she's giving him shit because he didn't talk to the Betazoid chick, which he tries at the end, and it's oh my god, just another episode where the writers don't know what the hell they're doing. They should not be allowed to write Star Trek because they don't understand the concepts that Star Trek is trying to put out there. They can't even write entertaining material because again, this is probably the least Star Trekky episode. So you think they'd be safe, and no, it's all garbage. Again, uh, hopefully my recommendations are keeping you from watching this show because you should. It's garbage. Okay, so that's it for this week. I'll put myself through hell by watching the upcoming episode 8, just to give you my opinion. Maybe there'll be one good episode before this bloody show is gotten rid of. Okay, thanks.